Hey everybody, welcome into another video. My name is Ty. You've clicked on the Living Deadwax YouTube channel, and today we're going to be ranking the entire discography of my favorite band of all time. That is the discography of the almighty Canadian trio Rush. And this has been a difficult endeavor, to say the least. This has been a long time coming, and I figure Rush has been in the news a ton lately. And probably more so than they have been in like the last 10 years or so. And I figure it'd be a good time. It'd be a good time. We got the new tour coming up, some controversy here and there, but overall, I think people are happy. I don't know. It's hard to tell with fans these days, especially Rush fans. But yeah, I'm definitely excited. So let's talk some music. Obviously, with any type of album rankings, this is my opinion. It's the internet. Everybody's got an opinion out there. You can leave your ranking down below. You can call me stupid. You can call me dumb. My Iron Maiden ranking, quite a few people took exception to that. So I got a feeling some people are going to take exception to this too, because Rush is such a big discography, 19 studio albums. Many different eras, and you have fans that love the 80s, you have fans that love the 70s, you have fans that love the 90s and the latter era stuff, you have fans that hate the synth stuff, you have fans that really didn't jump on until moving pictures. So there's a ton of different avenues you can look at this through, and basically my lens is all hindsight. My little bit of background with Rush is, my dad is a huge Rush fan, and that was basically how I was introduced to Rush. I grew up around the music, and the very first concert I ever went to was Rush on the Vapor Trails tour. So obviously the band holds a very special place in my heart. Every one of these records I enjoy. I am one of those fans. I don't think Rush has a bad record per se, and I have tracks on every record that I love, and I listen to Rush nearly every day. Whether I am listening to full albums or they come up in my playlists, Rush is a constant in my life. So I'm just going to put this out there. Obviously, this is my ranking. You can leave your ranking down below. And again, you can call me stupid. You can call me smart. You can call me dumb. You can call me a dickhead. You can call me whatever you want down below. Just leave a comment down below and tell me what your ranking is. Also, tell me your thoughts on this new Rush era. I'm probably going to drop a video when the tour starts and just talking about my feelings. And I will be attending the shows here in Phoenix, so I'm excited for that. But mixed feelings. And I didn't like some of the stuff, how they rolled out stuff, but we'll save that for another video. We're talking about the music here, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to rank the entire discography of Rush. No live albums, and I'm not ranking Feedback, the covers album. So just studio original stuff. I felt like it was unfair to rank Feedback. I don't dislike Feedback. I just consider it a weird oddity in the discography. And then we're already doing 19 albums, so this is going to be a long enough video without adding in the live stuff. So without further ado, burying the lead farther, let's get right into it. So I went ahead and set up a tier maker here. I'm very basic when it comes to this, but we're not going to do like A or S through F or S through D or whatever. We're just going to rank it 1 through 19, and we're going to start out with number 19. And I did bring visual prompts as well. Obviously, I love my show and tell. We're going to start with number 19. The debut from 1974. Kind of a controversial pick here, but it's such a weird album for me. It's almost impossible to rank this album. I almost consider it like a different band entirely, without Neil and with John Rutsey on drums. It just stands out in the discography. John is a good drummer. He's fine. He's a fine drummer. He plays well on the record, but he's no Neil, obviously. And then, you add in Neil's writing. Neil wrote all the lyrics for every Rush album he was ever on, pretty much all the lyrics. And that's when Rush becomes Rush. Like when Neil gets added to that mixture of Geddy and Alex, that's when Rush, to me, becomes truly Rush. So it's really hard to rank the debut. It's a solid album. It's great, kind of Led Zeppelin worship. I don't really consider it like Zeppelin sounding. It does. Obviously, Zeppelin had an influence on everybody, especially in the mid to early 70s. But I think it's more Geddy's voice that really triggered people and like, oh, what's this new Zeppelin tune, or who's this new band that sounds like Zeppelin? I don't think the band itself really sounds like Zeppelin, but that's neither here nor there. It does house some glimpses of what's to come. It does, and it does highlights Geddy and Al's like budding abilities. Like you can see that they have talent for sure, but ultimately. It is so much different than the rest of the catalog. I had to put it on the bottom here. I just can't put it any higher, honestly. Like, it's a great album, but it's such a weird one for me because Neil's not on it. The production is really good, especially for like a 70s debut when they had no money. It's pretty impressive, honestly, how well it still sounds. But it's really hard to imagine how Rush's career would have turned out if Neil never joined the band. Like, let's say John was in the band for a long time, or, until obviously his diabetes kind of prevented him from touring, and he wasn't taking care of himself. But let's say John was in the band for another 5 years. Like, how drastically different Rush's trajectory would be without Neil writing those songs and playing those drums. It would be absolutely insane. So it's kind of weird to think about. Standouts for me, Finding My Way, In the Mood. Obviously, Working Man as well. Like, Working Man is head and shoulders above the rest, and it's a great glimpse into what the band was going to become. We're going to go with a very transitional record, a record that really saw the band in coming out of tragedy and turmoil, and that is 2002's Vapor Trails. Again, it's a big... Rush has so many albums. They have a lot of transitional records. I consider this a big transitional record, though. It is a comeback record, but also a transitional record because of what Neil was going through and the long hiatus that they took after the tragedies that struck Neil's life. I'm going to be honest with you, though. Like, the production on this record is tiring. Even this version, the remix version, it is tiring. It is one of those things where, like, it's grating to listen to on the ears, and, like, try to listen to this record entirely all the way through is rough. There are some definitely highlights on it. The band sounds good. Geddy sounds well. His voice sounds well. There's some good bass on here. Obviously, some good Alex guitar tones. We're back really into heavy guitar Rush, which I enjoy. But yeah, it's just, one of those albums, man. I wish the production was better, and even the remix version, I wish it sounded better. As far as standout songs go, One Little Victory, great opening track. Love that song. Rush has a long history of great openers, which we'll discuss throughout this video. Ceiling Unlimited, really cool song. I love Neil's songs about traveling. I love Neil's songs about growing up. I love his coming of age songs, so we'll talk about all those. Ghost Rider is another one of those traveling songs, talking about him kind of putting tragedies in the past and trying to compartmentalize and move on. Earthshine, another really good road trip song. The Stars Look Down. Love that track too. So there are a lot of good songs on here, and this record holds a super special place in my heart because I saw them on this tour, and that was the first ever concert I had ever been to. So it does hold a special place in my heart, but it has to come in at number 18. Alrighty, guys, number 17 here. Another transitional album in a big way. Big way. We're talking about 1989's Presto. I'm going to put Presto at number 17 here. And where is it? There it is. So yeah, Presto at 17. Like I said, a transitional album in a big way. The synths were pushed way to the back. We're definitely ushering a new era of Rush here, especially coming from Hold Your Fire into this. Drastically different. The synths were almost non-existent, and guitar was definitely becoming the focus again, which is fine. I love synth music. I love synthwave. I love 80s music. I love new wave stuff. So I love synth era Rush, which we'll talk about, and that might be controversial later in this ranking. But I love guitar. I love all eras of Rush. So like I am a fanboy of Rush. So I can find things to enjoy on every album, like I said. But unfortunately, some albums have to come in at the bottom here. Rupert Hine does the production. It's a really solid job that he does. It's a clean sounding record, but it's not lifeless. Getty has a great vocal performance throughout this record. I think The Pass might be one of his best vocal performances put down on a Rush record. The album is a bit top heavy though. Like the first 3 tracks are by far the strongest. Show Don't Tell, great opener, continues that great opener streak. Chain Lightning, really solid catchy tune, and The Pass is a great ballad and easily my favorite track on the album. I love when they've done it live. The Russian Rio version is really cool. But after that, we get into shaky ground. There are some winners later. Scars is an interesting track, does keep your attention. The title track is just a worse version of The Past, though. And, I like Presto, but what would come after for me was way better, and what came before Presto is way better to me. So it's just kind of this weird, awkward child in there. So yeah, I appreciate the 80s catalog, the rest of the 80s catalog way more, and then the 90s catalog way more than Presto. Standouts, like I said, Show Don't Tell, Chain Lightning, The Pass, Red Tide. That's a really cool, great deep track. Good Rush at Deeps track if you're looking into getting into Presto. Alrighty, guys, we're going to continue on with an album from the reunion post-hiatus run of albums, and we're going to talk about 2007's Snakes and Arrows. I also saw Rush on this tour as well, so this record does hold a place in my heart, but it is going to come in at number 16 on the list. Snakes and Arrows is definitely a step up from Vapor Trails to me. It feels like a more fully realized album, kind of what they wanted to do. Vapor Trails are still trying to get their feet wet. How are we going to do this? How are we coming back and actually being Rush? And this album to me is like, okay, we've got our feet wet. We've toured a bunch. We know what we want to do. We can do this again. The band is definitely stretching their wings after getting their feet wet, like I said. Nick Raskulinich, I always butcher that guy's name. It's a great production. I love the feel of the live and earthy tones on this album. It fits the vibe of the record and what Neil was writing about. Far Cry is yet another great Rush opener. Probably my favorite track on here is Far Cry, to be honest with you. And Snakes and Arrows is honestly their most experimental album probably since the 70s, for sure, since their deep prog era. There's multiple different song structures, multiple different instruments, some of which they had never even played before or since on a record. And 3 different instrumentals on this album. So they were definitely trying to stretch their wings and really play like a musical record. Yeah, I really enjoy Snakes and Arrows, and it grows on me every year. Like every time I listen to Snakes and Arrows, I find more and more to enjoy about it, because it is a pretty dense record. It's a long listen. There's a lot going on. Like I said, the instrumentals. So yeah, I like Snakes and Arrows, but it's got to come in a little low. Production is good. Not my favorite. Like I said, it does fit the vibes of the record though. Standouts for me, Far Cry for sure. Armor and Sword. Working Them Angels, probably my second favorite song on here. The Main Monkey Business, that's a great song. The Way the Wind Blows, that's a really good one. Hope and Faithless. Faithless is a little heavy-handed on the lyrics, but I enjoy the song for what it is. So yeah, Snakes and Arrows, number 16. Alrighty, guys, maybe the first controversial pick here of the album ranking, and we're going with 1975's Fly By Night. This might be too low for a lot of people, but I'm going to explain why. And again, I have to put the fun part about doing these rankings for me is having to pick the records, and I like to do these ones that actually have numbers by them instead of just A through F or whatever, because I don't want to put a bunch in the A, which all of these records could technically be A's for me because I love them all. But anyways, Fly By Night, 75, the second album, the first with Neil on drums and writing lyrics, and you are immediately greeted with Anthem. A track that is in stark contrast from the debut. Like, this is Rush proper. This is the beginning of Rush to me, and Anthem is a great introduction. The drumming is better on this. The bass is better on this. The guitar is better on this record. Geddy's voice is better on this record than the debut. All of everything is better. The lyrics are better because of Neil. More thought-provoking, deeper song structures, deeper lyrics. The album cover itself is much better than the debut. That debut album cover is iconic because of the logo, but this album it just reeks of Canada, cold. I love it, and it fits the vibes of the record, especially the title and the title track, Fly By Night. Everything just perfect vibes and perfect symmetry on this record between the songs, the song structures, what Neil's writing about, the content of the lyrics and the album cover. Yeah, it's the first in a long line of great production jobs by Terry Brown, longtime Rush producer, as all Rush fans know, basically the fourth member of the band. Fly By Night is a glimpse again into what would become on the future Rush 70s classics. You still have some leftovers from the first album, like Best I Can. It makes the album a bit uneven, but on the whole, it is a pretty solid album. You also get the first Rush epic with By Tor and the Snow Dog, which I never get tired of that song, and I never get tired of the title track either, even though Fly By Night's kind of overplayed. It's a great track. Again, Neil writes great songs about being on the road, coming of age, finding yourself. I love when he's in that pocket of writing. It is definitely Zeppelin-esque, but way less so than the debut. So yeah, standouts for me: Anthem, By Tor, Fly By Night, obviously, Rivendell, and In the End. Those are my highlights here. Fly By Night comes in at number 15. Alrighty, guys, coming in at number 14 is a massive transitional record for the band, kind of unbeknownst to them, to be honest with you. It really, they weren't planning on it being a transition record, but that's how life shook out. So, 1996's Test for Echo, an album that I kind of think doesn't get a lot of love in the Rush community, and watching different album rankings, different discography rankings of Rush. But yeah, it was a massive transitional record for the band. After this album, they took a major hiatus and for many years. And yeah, after all of Neil's personal tragedies. So that's why this record is more so a transitional, not so much like a sound transition, like we're transitioning out of a sound, because Vapor Trails is honestly a follow up to this. Like you could see the logical progression that they were trying to take here. It was also Rush's last album with Peter Collins. The production, I dig the production. This is also a pretty heavy album in terms of Rush terms. It is a 90s sounding album, but not really in a bad way. When I say that, I'm not meaning like, oh, this thing is you don't want to listen to it because it sounds super dated. I don't really think, though. I think Rush was able to pull off the 90s kind of light years better than a lot of their contemporaries, especially their like 70s prog era contemporaries. I think they did it really well. And they did it earnestly. It didn't sound fake. It didn't sound put on. The album kicks off with two banger songs. The title track is a great song, and Driven. Driven is awesome. Probably my favorite track on this record. Rush's streak of great openers continues on this. Like they have a knack for writing a great opening tune and choosing the perfect track listing and what is going to be the opener. Neil and Geddy really shine on this album. I think it's a good showcase of their abilities. Neil in particular, like working on his technique in between this and Counterparts, I think it makes him like a really just well-rounded drummer. And obviously he was already one of the best in the world, but him just wanting to continue to learn just shows his ability and his willingness to better himself as a drummer and a lyricist and a songwriter and everything. Even the weaker tracks on this album have some great moments, so there's always something to listen to and grab onto. And great playing throughout to kind of hang your hat on when you're listening to it. You don't feel bored or like I should be doing something else or listen to something else. Like there's something to grab you on every track here. Test for Echo isn't the best 90s Rush album by any means, but I think it is kind of an underrated gem in the catalogs, to be honest with you. And the production, like I said, is pretty stellar. Like I really enjoy Peter Collins' production on this. It's just pretty... I dig his production on pretty much every Rush record he ever did, and I think this ended on a high note. Standouts for me: the title track, "Driven," "Virtuality." The lyrics are super dated, but in a weird way, kind of forward thinking where we are at in society right now. Yeah, and it's heavy, great melody, great vocals, good bass on that, great chorus. It's an underrated Rush song. "Resist" is a great ballad. "Closer to the Heart" is obviously the greatest Rush ballad, but "Resist" might come in with a close second for me. "Limbo," really good instrumental. So yeah, Tess Recco comes in at number 14. All right, so maybe another controversial pick for some people, a record that doesn't get a lot of love in the community, a record that I feel like is you either love it or you hate it, and a big transitional record for Rush, that's for sure. "Caress of Steel," 1975, their third album, and like I said, a major transition. They were basically at the point where the label was going to drop them, and they were told, no, you need to write hits. And they said, no, we're not going to write hits. We're going to do "Caress of Steel," which is not anything radio friendly or hit friendly. And they did what they wanted to do, and that led to the record that followed this, which obviously changed their entire career trajectory. But we'll get to that soon enough. The ethos of the debut is almost entirely gone at this point. Like, Neil has really kind of set himself within the band and found his wheelhouse. And this is definitely one of the two black sheep Rush albums in the discography, if you don't count the debut. I think it's pretty underrated and unfairly compared to the previous two albums. The album opens up with an absolute gem. "Bastille Day" is a great track. Geddy sounds like a different human being, honestly, on this than he did on the first albums. Like, he is up there in the registry. "I Think I'm Going Bald," just a dumb, fun 70s rock song. I dig it for what it is. "Lakeside Park," great song. I love it. It's a slower affair, but it shows the band's ability to change it up, and is another coming-of-age Neil song, which I absolutely love. The "Necromancer" and "The Fountain of Lamnanth" are the first true kind of Rush prog epics. I would say By-Tor is definitely there, but those two tracks are definitely beyond even By-Tor. And they do top those songs in short order, especially with the next album. They're still both really good songs. Great production by Terry Brown, as always. Standouts for me: "Bastille Day," "Lakeside Park," the next "Necromancer," and "Fountain." Those are the tracks for me that I constantly go back to on "Caress of Steel." An underrated, underappreciated kind of gem in the early discography of the band. Alrighty, guys, this next one could definitely be higher, and it could go higher as kind of, my life goes on and as I listen and re-listen to these records. The band's last album, "Clockwork Angels," where it's going to come in at number 12. It's the first and only Rush album that I was able to buy when it came out with my own money. So it holds a special place in my heart for that. It is a big deal album for me. I consider it the best last album of all time, which would be a fun ranking and discussion to have someday. I haven't listened to them all, obviously, but to me, the one that comes to mind, best last album, "Clockwork Angels." I feel like the previous two records to this, like they were building to this album, and they nailed it. And I feel like they knew they nailed it too, which is pretty cool. I think it's a pretty decently produced album, especially for the modern sound in 2012, like the loudness wars and everything just needs to be turned up to 10. I think it stands out as a decently produced record. I don't massively enjoy it, but it's fine for what it is, especially if you put it in context at the time period. Nick Raskulinecz returns, captures a pretty live sounding album. I also love the fact that this is the band's only concept album they ever did, which is absolutely crazy. And it's funny that's their last record. I think that kind of sums up Rush's career in general. Obviously, they had sides of concepts on previous albums, but they never had a full album with one concept. The album is long, and a lot of the track lengths push past 5 minutes. So it is a deep listen. It demands your attention, but it's a really easy listen as it's pretty varied throughout. So you're not getting bored of it. Also, the fact that the album probably features some of their best musicianship maybe ever. I know that's a hot take, but they were on fire. I could tell they wanted to put in. I don't think they potentially knew that this was going to be the last album. I think Neil probably knew. But based on what happened maybe Getty didn't know, or they probably had a hunch, but they really put it all out there, which I respect. Even if they didn't know and it wasn't said out loud, they put it all out there as if it was going to be the last album, and it was. It's pretty stunning that this is their final album, like I said, because it's just everything was building up to this moment, and it's pretty bittersweet that, like, you know, Snakes and Arrows and Vapor Trails, like, this is where we were going, and this is the combination, and they nailed it. Standouts for me: Caravan, BU2B, the title track. It's a great song. The title track to me is a great song. It stands up there with Rush classics for sure. Halo Effect, great, slower, shorter song, but stands out from the rest of the album, so I chose it here. The Wreckers to me is another classic. Headlong Flight, awesome track. I love the song. Captures many different Rush eras throughout. Also super heavy for a Rush track. The Garden, great song to end a career on. So yeah, Clockwork Angels is coming in at number 12. Alrighty, guys, I imagine a lot of you are wondering when this album was going to come up, and yeah, I want to talk about it. I'm going to rank all the albums, and this might be controversial. It might be way too high, especially some of the stuff that I put it over. I absolutely love this record. Let's talk about it. And then we get into this top 10 area, like, all these records are kind of in the same vein to me. I absolutely love them. Hold Your Fire comes in at number 11 from 1987. This and Caressa Steel, to me, are the two black sheep records. You either love them or you hate them. A lot of people jumped off the bandwagon when this record came out, especially after Moving Pictures and Signals and Grace Under Pressure and the classic 80s stuff. This was a bridge too far. For me, no. Again, I'm coming at everything with hindsight. I wasn't alive when this record dropped. So again, I'm not like, oh, this doesn't sound like Moving Pictures, because, you know, I can pick and choose what era I want to listen to, and I don't have preconceived notions of what Rush should be. To me, Rush is whatever Rush wants it to be. But yeah, the other black sheep, I'm the Hold Your Fire defense force. So here we go. I understand why fans dislike this album. I adore this album. I think it is severely underrated, and perhaps the most underrated in the entire catalog. It's a massively constructed pop and new wave album, which I appreciate good pop songs, and I love new wave, so it's right up my alley. The album opens with 3 absolute stellar tracks. Force 10, easily the heaviest song on here. Great bass line, absolutely full of hooks, so catchy. Time Stand Still is one of Neil's best pen songs. I love that song, and as I grow older and change and transition and have a child of my own and a wife, and my life, you know, continues on, that song means something different to me almost every year of my life. Really, it means something different to me than it did 10 years ago. That's for damn sure. Still a great song, but it almost grows in importance for me. So yeah, Time Stand Still is awesome for me. Open Secrets, criminally underrated Rush song. I love the themes behind it, the power that secrets have over relationship, and keeping secrets can destroy you and destroy relationships. Just a great song to listen to, full of hooks and catchiness and great, powerful lyrics for sure. You have to let go of those secrets. You have to let go of your past to grow as a person, and I love that theme. Open Secrets features some of the best guitar work on the entire album. There's not a ton of Alex on this record. I understand why fans don't like that, but when he does introduce himself on these synth era records, he accents everything so perfectly. What an unselfish player and unselfish person, because like a guitar player with a bigger ego probably wouldn't have been able to do that. He would have wanted to be front and center, and Alex plays well within what they were trying to capture on here, and I appreciate that. The album's production, perfect for the vibe they were trying to capture. I understand why people don't like it. It does sound 80s dated. I love that sound, though. Peter Collins and the guys nailed it. Like I said, I love new wave. I love synth wave. So I appreciate truly great pop music, and that's what this record is. It's a pop record, and it's a new wave. Synth wave is obviously a newer genre, but it fits in that vein for sure. The album is very much in my wheelhouse, but I feel the biases against this album are kind of laughable. And it all ultimately just kind of falls on people's inability to separate the different Rush eras and take them in a vacuum. Like, I look at this record and Power Windows as just, okay, this is what they were going for at this time. And I can understand why you don't like it, but to hear some of the negative stuff and like, this is an awful album, like, I just don't get it. I truly don't understand it. And like I said, I appreciate the shit out of Alex on this record because he does not try to overpower and overtake the record. He adds so much with his accents and his solos when they do happen. So yeah, and the band's playing well. Like, Neil sounds great, Geddy sounds great on vocals, and there's some great bass lines on this album. Tyshawn is obviously a bad song. Not a good song. I don't like that song. But standouts to me, Force 10, Time Stand Still, Open Secrets, like I said, Prime Mover, great bass on Prime Mover, Lock and Key, awesome synth with a great Alex solo, underappreciated Lock and Key. Check it out. Mission, Turn the Page. I love Hold Your Fire. Comes in at number 11. Alrighty, guys, we're in the top 10, so let's keep it going. Maybe a controversial pick, but I don't care. Here we go. 1977, A Farewell to Kings. Like, this is where things are going to get really, really spicy with these rankings here. Farewell to Kings is an amazing record. Like I said, this top 10 is going to be full of amazing records. I completely understand why somebody would rank this in their top 3 or even number 1. I think it is the weakest of the 70s trilogy, though. Like, I think it's sandwiched between two better albums, top to bottom. And I think it's a bridge between the more stripped-down prog of 2112 and the boundary pushing of Hemispheres. I truly believe that. The title track is a great opener and a representation of the band's expanding sound. Xanadu is a bona fide classic, closer to the heart. Obviously, easily the best Rush ballad of all time, one of their biggest songs of all time, and it encapsulates what makes Rush so great. It's a 3-minute ballad that fits perfectly on a ridiculously good prog rock album. I never tire of Close to the Heart either. Cinderella Man and Madrigal are two more awesome tunes. Closing it out with Cygnus X1, Book 1, The Voyage. That's a sci-fi prog rock epic. Some of the best musicianship of the decade, for sure, for my money. The fact that the story continues as the first track on Hemispheres, which we'll talk about soon, is such a great touch also. I love that. I love that little nuance and that stuff, that fan service. I absolutely adore it. So yeah, the album also has another typically amazing Terry Brown production. So, you know, you get what you get with that. Nothing groundbreaking, but it's stellar. Standouts, the entire album. The entire album is a must listen. If you've never listened to this and you're into 70s prog, I don't even know what you're doing. Or if you're starting out with Rush and you want to start with the 70s era, Farewell to Kings is a perfect starting point. It's a stellar record. It comes in at number 10 on my ranking. Alrighty, guys, it's going to be a long one, so let's keep it going. Let's go with a 90s album above Farewell to Kings. So here we go. I got to defend it. 1991's Roll the Bones. It's a tall order to defend this over Farewell to Kings, but I'm going to try. Rupert Hine comes back to produce on this, and I think it's probably my favorite Rush production ever. It is super clean, but the drum sound is awesome on this album. The bass is clear. Geddy turns in a great performance vocally. Alex shines in this new guitar era that was burgeoning for the band after Hold Your Fire and Presto. And Presto was a transition out of that synth era. Roll the Bones was that idea fully realized for sure. Dreamline, one of the band's best openers, and is another awesome Neil coming-of-age travel song. It's a great road trip song, Dreamline is. Bravado, great song. Stands out from the rest of the album musically and lyrically. Title track features some of my favorite bass work ever laid down by Geddy Lee. I love the song, rap and all. I don't give a shit. Sound off in the comments below. I love Rush having the balls to do that stuff. That's what makes Rush Rush. And when Rush fans talk about that and like, oh no, the rap and all this stuff, like, I don't think you really understand the band. I really, really don't. Like, it's super strange. And I don't think true Rush fans do that, but people who were there for Moving Pictures and Signals and the heyday of the 80s, I think I think they truly don't understand what Rush is and what they're trying to do album to album. But yeah, I love it, rap and all. The keys in the title track are also a great touch on an album that features very little keyboard work for sure. Face Up, great straightforward rocker. Where's My Thing? Awesome instrumental song. That sums up why I love this record. And there's so many different flavors of Rush all within this. Ghost of a Chance, a great Neil love song, really good. It has a super Alex solo on that song too. Neurotica, super bass heavy, super catchy chorus as well. This album is fun, man. It's super, super fun. You can tell the guys had fun making it. Like, it's a fun record. They're trying many different things. They're trying many different sounds. And the production is awesome. It doesn't sound dated. It doesn't sound like a record from 1991. It sounds great. It sounds timeless. Standouts, everything. The entire album is worth listening to. Rush, Roll the Bones, number 9. Let's keep it going with Roll the Bones' counterpart. That's 1993's Counterparts, coming in at number 8 on the ranking. Yeah, honestly, Counterparts and Roll the Bones are like perfect 1-2 punches and very similar records. Roll the Bones is probably the better album top to bottom, but Counterparts to me has much bigger highlights. And I think it's the best album of the 90s for the band, for sure. I also tend to listen to it more than Roll the Bones. I might like Roll the Bones more, but I always pick Counterparts for some reason. So I ranked it higher here. Peter Collins comes back, helps produce the record. Really good, but it doesn't feel like other Peter Collins efforts with the band. It is definitely a 90s record, but not dated, much like Roll the Bones, at least to me, at least to my ears. I feel it pairs well with the previous album in that regard as far as the production goes. I am not a Kevin Shirley fan. If you watch my Iron Maiden ranking, I think he's by far one of the worst producers going, and I wish he would stay far away from Iron Maiden forever, but I don't really blame him, mostly Steve Harris. But this is not an Iron Maiden record. But this record sounds good. And I'm not a Kevin Shirley fan, but I think this is some of his best work that he ever did as an engineer. Animate and Stickin' Out features some of my favorite bass work by Geddy and drum work by Neil. 2 banger tracks to open. Again, Rush knows how to open an album. Cut to the Chase features some great riffing by Alex, Nobody's Hero, another great Rush ballad with some great strings on it, and guitar work by Alex. The middle of the album gets a little murky, but by the end, it really catches on again. Double Agent, super fun song, which has Neil Shining on it. Leave That Thing Alone. One of my favorite Rush instrumentals, easily probably a top 5 for me in the Rush instrumentals. Cold Fire. Cold Fire is a top 5 Rush track for me. It features one of my favorite Neil lyrics and one of my favorite Alex solos. I love Cold Fire. What a good song. Counterparts to me is essential Rush listening. Honestly, I wish I could rank it higher, and maybe someday I will, but now we're getting into like top-tier classic albums that define generations, so it's hard, but everything on Counterparts is worth listening to, and Roll the Bones, the 90s Defense Forces here. But yeah, check it out if you haven't listened to any 90s Rush. I would start with Roll the Bones and then go to Counterparts and then Test for Echo, but Counterparts I absolutely adore. It comes in at number 8. Alrighty, guys, let's keep going. Another controversial pick, probably could be higher. And again, we're just kind of splitting hairs here at this point, especially in this top 7. 2112, the Kimono era, 1976, the album that truly saved the band. And it's kind of looked at as overrated by a lot of fans, I know, but I still love it. And in terms of the 70s classics, I do not think anything on Farewell to Kings is as strong as the 2112 Suite. The 2112 Suite, I think, is some of the best written prog of all time. That might be a basic bitch take, but I truly believe it. Like, the record is so popular for a reason. Like, it's not just popular by happenstance. It's a really great record. And the 2112 Suite in its entirety is well worth the praise. Yeah, it's a band laying it all on the line. Like, we're done. The label wants to drop us. We're going to do what we want to do. It's just proggy, catchy goodness throughout this entire album, and probably the band's heaviest album in my opinion, especially of the 70s. Maybe Crest of Steel, I don't know. The opening synth into the first riff of 2112 is just magical. Musical bliss. But the entire suite is a must listen and features some of Geddy's craziest vocals. That's for sure. And that carries on from Crest of Steel. Like, he is so far up there. It's insane. Side 2, though. Also stellar. Passage to Bangkok, supremely catchy, a Rush classic. Twilight Zone, trippy, slows things down, super cool song. Lessons features another crazy Getty vocal. And I like Rush ballads a lot, but Tears is probably the weakest song on the album for me. But Something for Nothing closes out the album nicely with some great playing by Alex. I mean, the standouts, 2112 is a classic, man. The entire album you need to listen to at least once in your life. If you call yourself a Rush fan or a 70s prog fan, you already know about this album. If you want to get into prog, if you want to get into 70s Rush, start with 2112. Absolutely stellar album. Guys, moving on with number 6, we are going to 1980. We are going with Permanent Waves. The 80s would bring in something completely different for the band. True commercial success. Radio play, hit singles. So obviously something they hadn't had to that point, but it was all still very much Rush. That's why I love Rush. Permanent Waves is one of the band's best transitional records. We're coming out of the massive prog era into massive radio hits. And it's a perfect bridge of the hard rock prog from the late 70s into a more streamlined prog approach that they took with in the early to mid 80s. Gone were Getty Shrieks, and even Terry Brown had changed his production approach. Still great production, probably some of the best Terry Brown production. This and obviously the record to follow that, to follow this. Everything was more streamlined in approach, but the prog was not gone, which is immediately apparent on Spirit of Radio. Again, Rush has some of the best openers in the history of music, for sure. And then Free Will follows it up. 2 classic Rush songs that everybody's heard countless times on classic rock radio. Rush continues, again, to have amazing opening tracks, basically throughout their entire career. Both of these songs, giant hits for the band. I never tire of them. And we still get some good prog. Jacob's Ladder, awesome song. Natural Science, another great song. Entre Nous, that's one of my favorite Rush songs of all time. Definitely a top 10 for me. It's a great record. It's a mandatory listen, man. Permanent Waves, the entire thing is worth listening to. Comes in at number 6. Let's get into some more 80s Rush. That's my wheelhouse. 80s and 90s. That's my wheelhouse. Grace Under Pressure, 1984, just celebrated 40th anniversary. Grace Under Pressure is a legitimately amazing album. I know it might be, there's 2 Grace Under Pressures in here. It might be a little controversial to rank this higher than some of the stuff that I've ranked it above, but I truly love it. And it might even go up. Like, if I ever do this ranking again, like, Grace Under Pressure could definitely move up this list. Probably the most guitar-filled album of the synth era, for sure, which gives the songs a pretty heavy and dark vibe. It's a dark record, which I enjoy. The first album since the debut, not to be produced by Terry Brown, so that was a huge deal. But I love the sound the guys got on Grace Under Pressure. Peter Henderson was the co-producer, and much of it was done by the band themselves, though, which I think adds the entire Grace Under Pressure theme. Like, they wanted to really do this by themselves. Terry wasn't around anymore, and the band could not subsequently use him as a crutch if needed, and they consciously chose to make that choice. Like, we want to branch out again as a band and get rid of our security blanket in Terry, and they did that, and they produced an absolute classic. Still sounds great today. That being said, if you have the 40th anniversary deluxe box set, or you can even stream it, the Terry Brown remaster that he did for this album is super good. And the songs are different. It is worth listening to because it adds a different flavor to a lot of these songs that you know and love. So well worth a listen if you haven't checked that out. Distant Early Warning. Super heavy Rush track. Great opener. Love the song. Another great opener again. After Image. Awesome song. Red Sector A, top 5 Rush song for me. I love the lyrics. I love the theme behind it. I love the messaging. One of Neil's best written songs for me. Super dark, super heavy. What a great song. Love it when it's done live. Great track. Yeah, it's also, too, it's one of the few Rush songs that doesn't feature any bass, which is insane, but it holds up really well. I really love the balance they found between the synth and the guitars on this record, and just everything they wanted to do at that time just kind of lined up for me on this album. Kid Gloves, probably my favorite deep cut. Super fun, catchy song. I love the guitar on it as well. Again, they had a balance here with the guitar and the synths. They really nailed it. I understand Hold Your Fire turned people off, and Power Windows could turn people off, but this record, I feel like they really nailed it as far as the balance go for guitar lovers and the synth lovers. Standouts the entire album, man. It's a top 5 Rush record. You can check it out if you haven't heard it. Grace Under Pressure. Here we go. Top 4, getting into the nitty gritty. 1978, Hemispheres. Hemispheres, to me, is the band's best prog rock masterpiece. They took themselves to the brink on this album, and afterwards, the only answer they could come up with was we have to change direction in the 80s, because this pushed them to the point where we can't get any more proggy, we can't get any more technical. We've pushed each other as musicians to the max. I love that about this record. It's the perfect bookend to me of the 70s era of Rush, and especially the prog trilogy. Side 1 opener, Cygnus X1 Book 2, prog masterpiece. It's a great touch following from A Pharaoh of the Kings, which we talked about before. Circumstances, more straightforward rocker. Great riffing by Alex. The Trees, obviously a classic Rush song. One of my favorite Getty vocals ever laid down. Such a great song. Never tire of it. It also, Trees would fit really well on Permanent Waves. It kind of gives you a hint of where they were going to go. La Villa Stranciato, the band's best instrumental for my money. My favorite instrumental they ever did. And it's something that nearly broke the band mentally and physically. Hemispheres is a masterpiece, man. And that song perfectly encapsulates what they were trying to capture and go through at this time. Yeah. La Villa is the perfect ending to this record. It's a prog masterpiece. And it ends a trilogy of 3 of the best prog rock records ever written. Hemispheres. And honestly, like, you could kind of interchange this and 2112. I absolutely adore both those albums. But it's one of those things where I just go back to Hemispheres more. To me, the story behind it and how they were pushing each other and trying to really really harness each other's musical abilities and push each other beyond the brink of their abilities is super impressive. So Hemispheres, well worth listening to. I would start with, to me, for my money, start with 2112 if you want to get into the Rush prog stuff, but Hemispheres is mandatory listening. It is a harder record to listen to because there's so many time signatures and so many changes and so much going on throughout the record, but it's an absolutely stellar album, top to bottom. Alrighty, guys, almost done. Top 3. Here we go. 1985's Power Windows, man. Power Windows is the culmination of everything they had learned on Signals and Grace Under Pressure. And I'm putting one of those albums, obviously, above this record, mostly because of my emotional attachment, to be honest with you. Power Windows is excellent from top to bottom. Big Money, a great Rush opener. Absolutely love it. A classic Rush song. Sets the tone nicely. Marathon, Middletown Dreams are 2 of my favorite Rush songs of all time. Easily top 10 Rush songs for me. Middletown Dreams especially. Again, the coming-of-age lyrics, the growing up, the small-town vibes. Neil is a master at writing lyrics reflecting of those themes. Neil. Speaking of Neil, great drum sound on this album. Getty sounds amazing, bass and vocals. Production is excellent. And Alex accents everything so nicely on this record. It's not Hold Your Fire-esque where he's completely lost. There's some great soloing on this, but yeah, this to me, though, is more of a Neil album and a Neil lyrical album. It features some of my favorite Neil lyrics ever penned. It's a great underrated album, I think, and it's unfairly treated, I think, by fans because they kind of lump it in with Hold Your Fire. But to me, I understand why some people can dislike Hold Your Fire. I don't like some of the arguments people make when it comes to Hold Your Fire, but I understand why people who are being honest don't like Hold Your Fire. And I feel like Power Windows kind of falls in that lump unfairly, but to me, it's a top 3 Rush record. It's a top 3 Rush record. Really great production by Peter Collins. Like I said, it's bombastic, but still feels very human. Great album cover as well. If you haven't listened to Power Windows, check it out. 80s Rush, obviously you start with Moving Pictures and move forward, but if you dig any type of synth and more new wave stuff like Power Windows, man, what a great album. So yeah, Rush, Power Windows, number 3. We got 2 albums left. So So yeah, these yeah. Obviously, we know which two they are. Just how I'm going to rank them. 1981's Moving Pictures. Maybe controversial, but it comes in at number 2 for me, and I'll explain why. Obviously, we've been here an hour. Of course, I'm going to explain why. Moving Pictures is one of the greatest pieces of music ever recorded. I don't say that like as a Rush biased fan either. It's probably most people's favorite Rush album, like for obvious reasons, and it's the album that the majority of people know them for. Obviously, Tom Sawyer. And I completely understand why it would top most people's lists. And it 100% deserves all the praise it receives. It is not overrated in any stretch of the imagination. I never get tired of Moving Pictures. Rush becomes the master of writing radio-friendly prog tunes on this record, which is absolutely insane that they were able to do. And it still had the complexity and creativity of their prog rock masterpieces, but through a radio-friendly lens. Like Tom Sawyer, the drums on Tom Sawyer are absolutely insane. You wouldn't think that because that song is so popular, and most times more proggy stuff that's harder to listen to doesn't break through to the mainstream. But this album did because they expertly crafted it, and they're masters at their craft. They wrote within the constraints, of writing radio songs, but they were still creative. And that's what makes Moving Pictures so amazing to me. The entire record is obviously a must listen. Tom Sawyer is probably the greatest opener on any album ever. And again, Rush has many great openers, but easily probably their best. I never get tired of Tom Sawyer, even though I've heard it a billion times. Also, the best production that Terry Brown ever did with the band. Could never be topped. It's probably my favorite Alex record, for sure. Like some of the solos throughout this, just amazing solos throughout, super memorable solos. Red Barchetta, probably my favorite song on the album, but the whole entire album is worth listening to. Rush, Moving Pictures comes in at number 2. All right, coming in at number 1, you probably realized it, Rush with Signals, dropped in 1982. Moving Pictures is probably the better record, top to bottom. I'll admit that. I'll freely admit that. But Signals will always hold a special place in my heart. It's my favorite record of all time. It'll hold the top spot for me forever. It's one of the first records I ever fell in love with. Subdivisions is the first song I ever truly loved, and I still love listening to it. I love all the little nuances and hooks. I love the key opening. It grabs you right away. I love the subdivisions. I love that. That's a hook within itself. It's so masterfully done and catchy. The record and that song specifically spawned my love of Rush. I remember when we were going to see them in 2002 on the Vapor Trails tour, I remember diving in, and I remember Subdivisions was the song I played constantly over and over and over again. And I still love it to this day. Signals is a super bold follow-up, too. Like, the best thing they could have done was just make the sequel to Moving Pictures. That would have been the smartest thing to do. That would have been the most commercially beneficial thing to do. That would have been the smart business decision. All the above. They didn't do that, though. Like, Subdivisions instantly tells listeners, this is a different Rush album than the previous album. The synth was here, and it was here to stay. And they were creating massive hooks with that synth. So I absolutely love it. Signals is also a very groovy album with a lot of danceable, like, Rush tunes on there, which I love. Not a lot of Rush songs are danceable, and I feel like Signals has a lot of danceable stuff. Also, the final Terry Brown Rush album, so obviously that's a big deal. Terry obviously was a massive influence on the band. I think Moving Pictures was his best work with the band. Signals is a very close second. It's a great way to end that partnership for sure. So yeah, number 1 for me, my number 1 favorite album of all time is Rush Signals, and it ranks number 1 on the album ranking. Whew, already, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all this way, leave a comment down below. How crazy I am for doing this. I absolutely adore this band. I'm gonna do a video talking about the reunion and how I feel about that, and just kind of whatever, vent out to the universe, kind of personal diary vlog style. But yeah, man, this is a blast to do. I love listening to these records. Again, I love all these records in their own way. Unfortunately, I had to rank something at the bottom. I had to rank something in the middle. And again, if I did this in 6 months and I re-listened to everything intently, this is after obviously I've listened to these records for years, but this is after multiple months of constant listening and constant toiling, moving this album here, moving this album here. So it was a ton of fun. I love doing this. I love doing the homework to create these videos. So if you made it this far, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit the like button. If you subscribe, if you clicking on me for the first time, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to do more album rankings this year. If you like vinyl hauls, music hauls, CD hauls, stuff like that, stick around. Yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.